Hello. So I'm the last speaker. You guys almost get to go to the airport, so I should probably keep this short, but I won't. Well, I'm going to show you a part of a PowerPoint presentation. I call it the PowerPoint presentation that Al Gore would do if he was black. All right? That's my PowerPoint. So, now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, what is a nice black guy like this doing in a green movement like ours? Well, I want to say to you, first of all, it was not because of the soft spot that I've always had for the environment, though I have always had a soft spot for the environment. What happened to me was I just got tired of going to funerals. That's what happened to me. I've been working to get kids out of jail and into jobs in California. And you might think of California as this big liberal bastion with all these wonderful things, but it's actually, we could just call it Calabama. That was good. See, that was good. In terms of the policies toward poor children, California locks up more children than any state in the country. And the United States now is the #1 incarcerator in the world. The United States is 5% of the world's population. We lock up 25% of the world's prisoners. 1 out of every 4 people locked up anywhere on the planet is locked up in a U.S. prison. Mostly black, Latino, and poor. And I went to Yale for law school, and I could literally stand on a corner, and I could see young people in this direction doing drugs on the campus, and I could see, looking down the other block, young people doing drugs in the housing projects. Same block, same drugs, same age group. But I saw 17, 18, 19-year-old kids at Yale get in trouble with drugs, and they got rehab. They would pause their grades, and they would tell them, we're going to let you pull out of school for a second. We're going to let you go to Europe, right? Work it out, and then come back, and we're going to hit pause, and you're going to start your whole academic career over. Those kids wound up becoming doctors, lawyers, accountants, the President of the United States, right? Right? Okay? And the kids in the housing projects went to prison. 7-year, 12-year, 15-year sentences. I saw young people that we were working with as volunteers get drug out of housing projects in their underwear in front of their whole families, and those kids still haven't come back home. So I decided I was going to go, and I was going to be this big hero, and I was going to fix the prison system, and I was going to fix the police system, and I burned out. And I had my face against the furnace for about 10 years, and I just burned out. And I was looking for some help and some healing myself. And I found out about a spirituality retreat. Now, in my neighborhood, you don't tell people that you're going to a spirituality nothing, okay? So, said I was going for a hike, you know what I'm saying? And I got to Marin County. And I said, what is this? It's like 20 minutes from Oakland. Oakland has pollution and the ports and an asthma epidemic and kids, you know, we're going to funerals every other weekend. 20 minutes later, I'm in Marin County. And everybody's happy. And they eat this food. It's some like ambrosia-like thing for happy people. It's called tofu. And they eat this. And they have hybrid cars that don't pollute. You can just breathe out the I don't know. They have no power stations. Everything's solar. People walk around with these tubes. I mean, what are these weapons? No, they're yoga mats. I said, what is this? So I realized that there was something happening in the Bay Area. That there was the tale of two cities And I thought to myself, this is the start of something. Here in Marin County, this green wave of new products, new services, new technologies, solar power, hybrid stuff, high-performance buildings. And I said, you know, I have a question. And the question is this new green wave going to lift all boats? Will this new green wave lift all boats? Or are we going to have eco-apartheid? Will we have a society where we have ecological haves and ecological have-nots? This is my question. And I began to say to myself, my goodness, if we're going to have all these new businesses, all these new enterprises, all these new industries, that means one thing to me: new jobs. New jobs. And these industries are the ones that are most needed in the world. I thought to myself, is there some way we could connect the work that most needs doing with the people who most need work? Is there some way to make this green wave lift all boats? Could we build a green economy strong enough to lift people out of poverty? Could we make sure that those communities that were locked out of the last century's pollution-based economy were locked into the new clean and green economy? Could we do that? And I started to get inspired again. I started to come out of my depression. And I said these 4 words that sometimes I wish I had never said, because it's destroyed my life. It's completely transformed my organization and put me in this whole other direction. But I said, we need, in our community, we need green jobs for these young people, not jails. Green jobs, not jails, for these young people. And if we put the tools and the technology and the training in their hands, I believe that they can be a part of retrofitting and rebooting a nation. This country has to be completely retrofitted and redesigned in a new energy, carbon-constrained, water-constrained, energy-constrained world. Well, that's a whole lot of solar panels to put up. That's a whole lot of wind farms to build. It's a whole lot of buildings to weatherize. And sometimes I think that the environmental movement thinks if they just pass the right law, magical green fairies will come and do all that work, you know? They'll just kind of put it all, you know, and we'll just be done. No, that's all skilled labor. It's skilled labor. And so I went on this quest. And then eventually somebody said to me, you know, I've never met an African-American urban environmentalist before. And I'm like, where is he? I mean, grab him, you know? It's a rare species. Me. Oh, okay. So, and it's a remarkable thing because the environmental movement is very powerful. You know, I was saying before, our kids need jobs, not jails. Boring. So we want pathways out of poverty. Newspaper, Van, you're boring us. You know, it's not news that your people are poor. We want green pathways out of poverty. Suddenly the news is like, what? Green? Green? Did he say green? 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 Give that man a microphone, you know? It's all who knew, right? So I want to show you this little grid that we did, and then I want to tell you a story, and then I'm going to let you guys go home. But we came up with this grid. You know, when I say we, I'm talking about the Elevator Center for Human Rights, Green for All, the whole movement now that is now, you know, on the march for what we call green jobs, not jails. And it's all about these kids. See who we're fighting for. You know, 10 years. In 10 years, these guys are going to be on somebody's team. They're going to be on the gangbangers team, or they're going to be on the prison wardens team, or they're going to be on our team. And we're fighting for them. So I had to one time figure out how to explain this all on one slide. So I compressed my incredible intellect and all my brilliance into this one brilliant slide, which is going to just blow you away. And you're going to say to yourselves, if I have nothing else I had seen at the whole pop check, but band slide, I would have been moved. And it's called the fourth quadrant. See? But see, it's brilliant, see? Because now you're thinking to yourself, what are the other three? I got your mind right here. So this is how we can tell the whole past of the environmental movement and the whole future of the environmental movement on one slide and show you what's next. It used to be when we talked about environmentalism, we talked about the problems. It's what we call the gray conversation. We're all going to die. The polar bears are going to die. The rainforests are going to die. Would you please join my group? You know? Wasn't working too well. So now we have this new conversation called the green conversation. It's all about the solutions, right? And that's what everybody's so excited about, everybody's so happy about, wonderful, but there's a missing dimension. And that missing dimension is what we call the rich to poor dimension. Now this is the dimension not just of race, of wealth, of income, power, gender, all those things we don't like to talk about. You put that in there, you get this grid. I'm going to rely on some gross stereotypes here, just to have a little fun here, but it's educational. At the end of it, we'll clean it all up. But just to follow the reasoning here, when rich people, wealthy people, have their conversation about the pollution-based economy, what's wrong, wealthy people, you know, stereotypes here, affluent people, they're reading their Sierra Club magazine, right? And they go, oh, the environment. What kind of issues are they being animated by? What issues? Polar bears, right, sure, polar bears, rainforests, those kind of things. What we call charismatic megafauna, right? The plight of charismatic megafauna. Polar bears, right? Drowning because of global warming. Are they right or wrong to be concerned about that set of issues? They're right. Okay, hold on a second. Some people were quiet. Are people who are fighting to keep innocent creatures from being obliterated, okay, wiped out the face of the earth forever, right or wrong? Okay, just making sure. Thought I was at the wrong conference for a second. Okay, so they're right, okay? And for those of you who are quiet, let me tell you why they're right. If you just want to be greedy and selfish about it, when these guys go, we're next, okay? When the polar bears go, when the rainforests go, we're next, okay? But it's deeper than that, okay? These are beautiful creatures. They have some of them have been here longer than we have been here. We have no right to push them into extinction, okay? And we should be glad that there are people who have the resources and the wisdom to fight for their existence, okay? So they're doing the right thing. But if I go across the street into the poor part of town, in Watts, or Newark, or West Oakland, and I knock on the door, boo, 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 boo. Woman opens the door, yes, yes, what's going on? Oh, it's terrible. What is it? We got to do something. What? What happened? We got to save the polar bears. Is she going to join my group? No, because when she says the environment is terrible, what's she talking about? Asthma, what? Cancer, right? Garbage, sure. Toxic dunks, dirty water. And if she's talking about global warming, she's not talking about polar bears drowning because of global warming. She's talking about people drowning. That's Katrina. Okay? Now, is she right or wrong? Thank you. No, wait. No, let me ask a question now. You mean she's not just narrow-minded? Doesn't she see the big picture to be right? No. She's right and they're right. She's right because the fence line pollution, that whole reality where social reality meets the environmental peril, right? That is the front line of environmental struggle for low-income people, people of color. Now, if you agree that the first one's right and the second one's right, guess what? You're more intelligent than the entire environmental movement. Because we have been fighting for 20 years. This is the mainstream environmental movement. This is environmental justice. And we've had a racially segregated environmental movement for 20 years over which one's right. Guess what? They're both right, okay? Are they both right? Yes. All right. So as we move into the new century and we start to think about the solutions, again, gross stereotypes here, when wealthy people talk about there are these wonderful, neat ecological solutions now. What are they talking about? Prius. Solar panels on my second home, right? Right? Organic food. I'm going down a whole paycheck. I mean, whole food. Y'all know that stuff costs too much money at Whole Food. That's whole paycheck in my community, right? Now, this third quadrant is a quadrant of what we call business opportunities for rich people and consumer choices for affluent people, okay? And thank goodness, because arguments about consumerism notwithstanding, we want rich people to begin to invest in things that help the planet and don't hurt the planet. And we want affluent consumers to begin to buy things that help the planet and don't hurt the planet. So that's a very, very good thing. But when I go back again into my fourth quadrant, poor part of town, and I'm talking to people who can't afford to buy a hybrid, might be struggling for a bus fare, trying to talk their way on the bus. Do they have a place in the green economy? Yeah. They should. They should. People who don't, maybe they're renters, maybe they're homeless. What is the role and the purpose of the green economy for low-income people? What we say is that this is a quadrant where it all comes home. Because if we can make the green economy work here, we have a green economy. And we say this is where the work benefits, the wealth building benefits, and the health improvement benefits of the green economy begin to get delivered to low-income people of color. This is what we call the quadrant of the green collar jobs. Green collar jobs. What's so beautiful? Yeah. What's so beautiful about a green collar job? First of all, this is work. If you teach a young person how to become, say, a solar panel installer, they're on their way to becoming an electrical engineer. That's a green pathway out of poverty. If you teach a young person how to weatherize a building, how to double pane that glass so it doesn't leak so much energy, they're on their way to becoming a glazer. They could join a union. It's a green pathway out of poverty, okay? Beyond that, these are jobs that cannot be outsourced. You can't take this building, put it on a boat, send it to Asia, have them weatherize it, put the solar panels on, send it back, okay? Now, God bless India and China. We want their economies to do well, but we also want to have good, dignified work here. And these jobs can't be sent overseas. They have to be done here in the United States. The solar panels have to be put up here, buildings have to be weatherized here, wind farms have to be built here, okay? Lots and lots of new jobs for here. And if we get people in on the ground floor, growing industry, in 2 years, that solar panel installer is going to be what? A manager. 3 to 5 years, they're going to be a contractor, an owner. This is a green pathway out of poverty to wealth and ownership, okay? So it's very, very important that we take this new opportunity, opening up in the economy seriously, and connect the people who most need work with the work that's most needed to be done, the work that is most needed to be done. That's why we went to the Oakland City Council. We made this case. And our city council, which has 10 factions on it and only 8 members, okay? You know, two of them, anyway, voted unanimously to create a Green Jobs Corps in Oakland and put $250,000 on the table to begin training our youth, who right now are going to funerals every weekend, to begin doing this work. That's why we went to Nancy Pelosi and we talked to her and got her to include as Title I of the energy package that just passed the House, something called the Green Jobs Act of 2007, which will put, oh yeah, which will put $125 million a year into our community colleges, vocational schools, public schools across the country to train about 30,000 people every year in green trades. And that's why we went to Bill Clinton, and we told him of our vision. And we said we had a dream, and that our dream was to get 250,000 people out of poverty and into the green economy, and to get the federal government to spend $1 billion over the course of 4 years to get 250,000 people into the green economy. And Bill Clinton signed on with us, and we just launched something called the Green for All campaign to get that done, So in closing, I just want to say, this is a picture. When you think about environmentalism, I want you to think about this picture. This is the new face of environmentalism. These are the new environmental heroes. Don't look at these young men and say, oh, these are the villains, these are the criminals. Let me lock my door, I'm afraid, let me grab my purse. You know, that's the old story. These are the ecological heroes. They're putting solar panels in Richmond. This is a Solar Richmond project. They're putting solar panels on low-income people's homes to cut those electricity bills down for low-income people, to put money in their pockets, and to begin to cut back on global warming. We are now in a situation where the most beautiful picture in American politics is this one right here. We can do this. We can fight and beat global warming. We can slash poverty, and we can unite this country. We can save the polar bears and these young men too. Let's do it. Thank you very much.